In this video, I will break down my personal content strategy that I'm using to scale to 100k per month in 2024. I'm going to show you exactly where I post, what I post, and how often I post, and how I plan to make content the driving force of all of my client acquisition in 2024. And let's not waste any time, I'm just going to get straight into the video. Okay, so to make this video more comprehensive, I've broken it down into two parts, and then each part has their little sub parts. But basically, I'm going to be talking about the foundation, which is just the guidelines and principles and the top process behind why I do what I do. And then two is going to be the actual strategy. Okay, so I'm going to be going over my YouTube strategy, Instagram Reel strategy, and Instagram Story strategy, since these are pretty much the only platforms that I'm actually leveraging right now. And I'm going to also explain why later in this video. So what I want to do is I just want to start off with some quick guidelines that are going to serve as the foundation of my content strategy going into this year. And it'll also give you insight into why I'm doing what I'm doing so that you can actually model after it and make it your own instead of just blatantly copying me, which will not work anyway. Okay, so there are two main goals. There is lead nurture and lead generation. And right now you may be thinking that it would be better to just double down on one goal, and you would be right, but I'm going to explain why this is the case in a second. Okay, so the actual content itself, right, so what I'm saying in the video is going to be focused strictly on lead nurture. Right, so building a personal connection and providing a shit ton of value primarily, okay, and then obviously showing client results, right? But then the packaging is what's actually going to contribute to the lead generation, okay? So these are the two functions, right, of content that I'm going to be running this year. Lead nurture is going to be done through actually providing a shit ton of value, kind of like I'm trying to do in this video, and then selling the implementation, okay, instead of gatekeeping information, because people can see right through that shit. If you don't give everything away, you will be punished for it. People can see that you're hiding something. And then two is establishing human connection. Okay, and this is through something called parasocial interaction. And parasocial relationships is basically when you're building a relationship with me right now, but I don't even know you exist. Right? However, this relationship is just as powerful as if we both knew each other and we were talking face to face right now. Okay, apparently the human can't tell between I'm talking to someone on screen and talking to someone in real life, which is pretty cool. But yeah, that's basically the principle that we're leveraging here. And then lead generation, this has nothing to do with the actual content inside of the content. This is just to do with the packaging, right, which is basically editing in the first 30 seconds to increase retention, kind of like I did in this video, SEO optimized titles to reach more people, and then clickable thumbnails to get more people to actually click, right? And this should not say parasocial interaction. This should say, I have absolutely no clue what this should say, but let's just assume it's supposed to say packaging. Okay, cool. So now I could go over why content is so important, what its functions are, right? But that has been literally covered in like thousands of YouTube videos already. I've kind of mentioned the functions here. If you don't understand the concept, importance of content yet, and if you're not posting content yet, then you are seriously behind. Okay, so go and check out some of my other videos on YouTube. I talk about this. Go and check out some of other YouTube videos by other people. They talk about this. YouTube is super important. But not only YouTube, just content as a whole. If you're not posting content, you're not building long-term leverage, you will be gapped out of the market. So now that we have this quote unquote boring stuff out of the way, let's get into the actual strategy, right? So right now my content strategy consists of two main platforms, which is YouTube and Instagram. And basically the strategy on Instagram is I'm running ads, I'm doing outbound, and from this ads and outbound, ultimately the goal is to start DM conversations. From these DM conversations, we, convert people into calls. From these calls, these people pay me on the call. And then funnel number two is YouTube organic. I'm not making the majority of my money with YouTube organic right now. It's mostly just serving for lead nurture, as I mentioned, but I'm working on all the packaging to actually get it out to more people. And I'm working on the content quality itself, obviously, to get it out to more people. And in the last couple of weeks, I've booked 3 calls from YouTube, exactly 3 calls. I think in the last 2 or 3 weeks, strictly from just posting this YouTube stuff, right? Which the main reason I'm doing this is for lead nurture. If I can get lead generation on top of that, while me still optimizing for all of this, in order to reach more people. I know a lot of people that literally run their entire business strictly off of YouTube that don't get that many views. Okay, so that's where I'm going. But the main thing here is that YouTube we have YouTube Nurture, right? Which is basically all these videos educating you, providing value, building a connection with you. And then from this YouTube Nurture, we go to the main VSL. I funnel every single video that I have down into a main VSL. I'm going to get into that more later, but this is basically what I'll do. I'll explain that more later. From the main VSL, people book a call, or even from the YouTube Nurture, people can book a call. Anyways, everything leads to calls, and then from calls, people pay me on the call, right? Same thing as with Instagram outbound. But something that's pretty dope about these two funnels is that they actually connect right here, as you can see this little line, right? This represents that people who get nurtured on YouTube, they go to my Instagram DMs, okay? Because maybe I call to action to the DM, right? Or even if I don't, I have a lot of people who just come from my YouTube and they message me on Instagram saying, hey bro, that video was super, super valuable. I appreciate it a lot. right? That is what happens when you provide value, right? And then guess what? You can start a DM conversation with that person. If they're qualified, if they're warm, you can book a call. If not, you can just keep providing value, and then those people will buy from you when they're ready. And also, if somebody comes in through the Instagram funnel from the DMs, right, a lot of people are going to check out the main VSL. It's either you redirecting them there, right, let's say in a pre-call sequence, or it's just them going there on their own, right, because they're actually having conversations with you. They check out your profile. You have your YouTube up everywhere on your profile. YouTube. They go check out your YouTube, and they end up landing on your YouTube. So now, to break this down more in depth, what I want to do is I'm going to start with YouTube, because that is where the money is. Okay, and it's probably what you are most interested in, because Instagram is low-key a little bit boring. And it's also what my primary focus is going into 2024. Okay, so I believe that if you are not strongly persuaded by now to be on YouTube, you do not understand the game. Okay, like hell, I've even seen people sign clients who do not have reels of them speaking into a camera for 30 seconds up on their internet. If that's you, I just want to say good luck. If you don't have content up in 2024, you cannot expect to, like, maybe you'll sign a client or two, right? Maybe off performance, but like it's not scalable. You're not building anything that's going to compound in the future. And as soon as you lose those clients, which you will, then you're just going to go back to working your 9 to 5. So basically, in terms of YouTube, what my strategy is, in terms of the YouTube nurture, is just to post whatever I feel like posting that provides obviously insane amounts of value to my audience, right? Not necessarily talking about my product in every video, since that would just be hella salesy and I wouldn't build any connection with anyone whatsoever, right? Like, for example, yesterday I made a video going over the emotional cycle of change, and like that has nothing to do with my product itself. Obviously, I use these principles in my product, but it's not like it's a pillar of my product that I do this, like, you know, it's a framework, it's a concept, and I'm explaining that concept because I think it would be valuable. I'm not necessarily selling somebody on my unique mechanism. And I actually think oftentimes these type of videos are way more powerful, right? Because people know that you're not trying to sell them, you're just providing raw value for like 18 minutes straight, and people respect that, right? And then what I do is I funnel all that traffic into 2 places from these YouTube nurture videos, right? One is the Calendly. At the end of the video, I have a call to action that says book a call with me. And then 2 is I funnel them into the main VSL that I have, so that the prospects can learn more about my solution. So I have like an end screen usually up that brings people to my main VSL, the main video, where I actually explain what I do more in depth, so that they can learn more about my solution, and then they can book a call if they're not ready after watching this video, right? And in this way, I'm not forcing myself to sell in every video, but I can actually speak about what I want to speak about, which lets me, 1, provide more value, 2, build a genuine connection with you, and then 3, actually get more fulfillment from the work that I'm doing and from the content that I'm posting, which is ultimately the goal in the first place. And now, where do I get these YouTube content ideas from? Just to give you like a complete, a complete guide on this, so that, I'm not missing anything. First I do, then I talk about what I do, which is this video. Like, this is what I've been doing over the past 2 or 3 months now, and it's what I'm going to continue to do, and I'm just walking you through the changes that I'm making. I learn principles and concepts, and then I talk about how I apply these concepts in business. My last video, which is literally this video. I take objections that I get in my DMs and sales calls, and I handle them, and then I look at what's actually working in the industry, so like other YouTubers, and I model off their content. Keyword, I don't copy, I model. For example, I might take a title or a thumbnail that performed really well. And in terms of like the cadence that I do, I post 2 vids a week, there's vids per week, and my goal is to drop them. I don't think I've shared this before, but my goal is to do Wednesdays and Saturdays to actually drop these videos. And that way, by the end of the year, I'm gonna have like 120 pieces of long form content out, which is crazy. If they're all valuable, they're all selling for me. If you're a competitor of mine watching this video, and by the end of the year you don't plan to have at least 120 long form YouTube videos out, then I will beat you. Okay, and now that we have YouTube out of the way, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go onto Instagram. Okay, and when it comes to Instagram, I'm not really too strict about the reels. I'm more so just focused on YouTube. That is the main priority for me right now. And if you're in the online coaching or agency space, I believe it should be for you too. In terms of the cadence, the goal is just to post 2-3 times a week, just to stay top of mind to the people that I already have in my funnel, since I'm not focused on like going viral or getting new clients through Instagram. Through Instagram organic content, that is, because I'm obviously running ads on there. I'm doing outbound on there. But when it comes to things like content ideas, I use Instagram for primarily 3 things, which is basically just sharing your personal stories, connecting just with people on a human level so that they can see that I'm actually a human being talking to them on a camera, and then belief shifting. Okay, and the reason for that is that Instagram is usually higher up in the funnel than YouTube, right? So I use it more for the emotional side rather than hammering value, right? Which YouTube hammers value way better than Instagram ever could, right? Because the reels are just way shorter. But what I do is I use Instagram for that emotional side, as I said, and the reason for that is, if you don't know how your brain is structured, is basically first, any information that goes into your brain goes through the reptilian to the limbic, then to the neocortex. And these two first portions of the brain that information actually has to go through to get to the neocortex, which is the logical side, which we want the information to reach. These are emotional, right? So if any information isn't emotional, the information isn't going to reach the neocortex. So if I just went in with, teaching different strategies, marketing funnels on Instagram, that wouldn't work that well because there's no trust built. People don't hear what I have to say if they don't trust me yet. So I build the trust on Instagram, and then once people trust me and they've connected with me emotionally, that's when I move over to YouTube, which is the neocortex, which is the value, and which is the logic. And then another idea that I often do for reels is I just take a YouTube video, I summarize the main point in a reel, and I do that in the form of a belief shift, right? Which also helps drive traffic to the long form content, which is what the priority is, and it's what's actually meant to convert. And here's an example. So this is a long form video of me. I'm talking about building high ticket offers. And then what I did is I repurposed that video sort of into a short, which is basically me summarizing that video, going over the main points in the form of a belief shift. I'd go in and look at that video on my Instagram if you want to actually see how I did that. But the point is that I don't want to summarize all of the value that I gave in this video in 1 minute reel. That just wouldn't make sense. I want to take the major belief shift, because belief shifting is emotional. I want to shift that belief, build that connection, and then get people over to watch the long form content, which is actually logical, which is meant to convert, right? And then the third sort of, I guess, content strategy that I'm using is on IG stories, because when it comes to IG, stories are where most of the money is made. I need to be more consistent with stories. The more stories you post, the better. And there's not a different platform that is so good at allowing you to constantly retarget the people that engage with your content, the people that view your profile, and stay top of mind, as well as IG does with their stories. Okay, and stories is where I basically just share what's going on in my day, which is for the connection. I do hand raisers or giveaways, which is for DM conversations, right? I have examples here, and then promote YouTube for nurture, right? So sharing what's going on in my day is like, just me building stuff. I share that, right? Just quotes that I find that hit, I share that, right? Different thoughts from Twitter. I just post my random thoughts on Twitter. I don't really have a content strategy there. I also post on my stories, right? And then 2 is hand raisers. So basically just, hey, I made a free resource, DM me asset and I'll send it over. And this is to start DM conversations with anybody who may be interested. And then 3 is I use it to promote YouTube, right? So what I have here is I have story highlights. The first story highlight, the one that is the brightest because I want people to see it, is the YouTube story highlight. And then in there, I just post, anytime I drop a new video, it's going on my story. If it's if it's a more important video that I want people to watch, that talks potentially more about my product, it goes into the highlight story. And if you use stories correctly, stories can generate you tens or even hundreds of qualified leads every single day with little to no extra work. And that's not even mentioning the nurturing capabilities that stories have. And now if you're looking for an SOP to just copy and paste into your business to use for your stories, I got you covered, obviously. If you can add more stories than this, that will obviously be better, but 5 is a good sweet spot that I try to also aim for. But when you wake up, you can post a story. When you're doing work for clients, you can post a story. When you go to the gym, you can post a story. Any thoughts you have during the day, you can post a story. And then 1 to 2 times a week, you can do a call to action post, right? You don't want to do these every single day because people are just going to get bored and they're going to be like, okay, this is another call to action. Like, how can this guy have something valuable to give to me every single day? He's just recycling the same shit. And he's clearly trying to sell me. So you only want to do this like once or twice a week, right? And ideally rotating between different assets so you don't constantly promote the same asset. And the way that I structured this post is what I'd have is you can have something like I had, right? But something that's actually more optimal is to add in some, client results on story 1. Client wins. I know you can't read this, bear with me. Client results on story 1, and then the next story that you post is the actual call to action, right? Or even you could have like, give some value, then the client wins, and then story, right? Like you can mess around with how you actually structure this. And that is basically my content strategy for the entirety of this year. If you want to learn more about what I actually do for my clients, because I don't just tap them out with content, obviously, I'm on a bloop up video here that you can go ahead and watch next, which explains sort of what I do more in depth. Or if you've already seen that video, or you just want to see if I can personally help you scale, then book a call with me down below, first thing in the description. And we'll talk soon. I appreciate watching. Subscribe. I'll talk soon.